Welcome to the Hollywood Garbage Dump Review, where today we're going to be taking a look at some trash freshly delivered from Netflix. Occasionally we step outside the Hollywood bubble, as we did with several Disney movies, and as we will today with Netflix's Cuties. As you know, here at the Hollywood Garbage Dump Show, since this is primarily a religious, historical, spiritual channel, when we do movie reviews, while we do at times regular reviews in terms of the quality of the movie and its storyline and content, most of the time what we do at the Hollywood Garbage Dump Review is we take a look at the movie or the trailer to see whether or not there are a number of hidden symbols and images that either don't fit with the theme of the movie or that do, but that are not obviously understood or meant to be clearly recognized by the audience. So, for example, in today's review with Cuties, as most of you know who have seen the trailer or even heard about the controversy related to Netflix and Cuties, it primarily involves the open sexualization of young girls as part of the storyline, where they do various things such as twerking and dancing otherwise in a very sexual manner and acting as adults, even though they're minors, 14 or younger. And so, while that's a concern in and of itself, right, for any normal society to have entertainment on this level put forth that puts children in this light, when I watched the trailer, while I was expecting that kind of disgusting depiction of minors, I wasn't quite sure what kind of symbols or images I might find if I looked at the trailer with Hollywood Garbage Dump Review eyes, which is what I did. And when I did that, it reinforced the sexualization of the minors, pedophilia, and a lot of the other ideas and beliefs that are commonly found in hidden symbols and images in these movies. You can see my prior reviews of different movies and movie trailers for examples of what I'm talking about. But it's basically going to be what you're going to see and what I'm going to talk about with Netflix's Cuties. So let's get right into it. It's 1 minute and 33 seconds total, the trailer, but the actual content related to the movie is about 1 minute and 15 to 20 seconds with some filler at the end. So we're just going to take it up to 1 minute and 15 seconds. 75 seconds. This is what is included in that 75 seconds, in addition, to the open and obvious sexualization of young girls. All right, let's start at second 2. And I'm just going to still shot it to the points where these things occur because we don't need to get into any copyright issues, just to highlight the symbols and imagery that are involved. And as you can see here right at second 2, when you look at the girl, the way she's dancing and the way her arms are, and then the way they move just a little bit more in the positions that they are, it's kind of an odd way to reach toward the dryer. And I find that at this point, it resembles what you see when you're facing the Baphomet, right? She's got her left arm pretty much extended straight out. And then she's got her right arm bent but coming up. And when you look at the Baphomet statue, that's exactly what it is. Now, it's a little bit different in terms of the way that the Baphomet has its hands and fingers with the two pointing out, which is often why you see the peace or the pan sign that many at one time used for peace, but really represents, in terms of the Baphomet and the god Pan, that's its representation as well. The goat god Pan, the Baphomet, and that's why you see the two fingers the way they are here. But it's more the hands that I'm concerned about, or the arms, really. The one extended, the left, we're facing the Baphomet straight out, and the right tilted, but with the forearm pointed up. And that's exactly what you have here. It just seems oddly familiar. Now, there are times when we do our garbage dump reviews where a scene like this could be just a part of the way it was shot, and it happens to be that from behind, she looks pretty much exactly like the Baphomet from the front in terms of the arms. Right? And so it's either intentionally that someone told her to dance that way so that her arms would eventually be like this in the scene, or they just happen to be that way. I'm open to either one with this scene. I do find it more believable that this was intentionally set up this way after having reviewed the entire trailer. But since you're just starting that with me, let's continue on and see if you find this scene more convincingly related to the Baphomet image than just to an incidental point in her dancing as part of the opening scene in the trailer. So this is second two, where I believe you, after reviewing the whole trailer, I do believe you have here an intentional scene set up to represent or resemble the way that the Baphomet's arms are positioned. But let's move forward to second 7, to some more obvious indications that there definitely are things in the movie in terms of hidden imagery and symbols with significant meaning placed for us to see. And if you look at the middle of this scene, you can see here on the curtain, it's not a fancy apartment. It's not meant to be. The curtains don't look very fancy. But right across the middle, you have the diamond pyramid pattern, which I've discussed in several prior garbage dump videos and showed historically has had occultic and other religious associations related to sexuality and to various other beliefs that could be associated with things like mind control. So let's take a look at one of those things that comments on the association between this pattern that you see right here that I find oddly placed. Right? It just doesn't seem like the time would be taken to stitch the middle of the curtain across like that there's much of any benefit and that time would be taken to do so. But that pattern is featured prominently right in the middle of this shot. And so if it does have associations, what are they? Well, here's an article from sunsigns.org that I'll put in the description below. Significance of Diamond Symbolism by Leah M. Bostwick. And it shows the very pattern, right, that we're looking at in the middle of this scene here. And that will come up again. So what does it say? Diamonds, symbolic meaning. Diamonds are recognized as representatives of symbolic values across many cultures. The Native Americans consider diamonds to be signatures of the butterfly, which Indian cultures identify as a sign of immortality. Excuse me. Butterflies live in migratory patterns, traveling hundreds of miles to return to their homes. Native American ideology viewed this as very powerful and symbolic. Specifically, the butterfly's journey back to their homes was interpreted symbolically as the soul's journey to its rightful place. And it goes on to describe different things, again in association with the butterfly, related to rebirth, revival, transformation, all in association with these diamond symbols shown here. And of course, as we know, the butterfly symbol is not only used in MK Ultra mind control programming, but is also listed on the FBI's symbols for what pedophiles use to identify their sexual preferences. And one of those is the butterfly for a child lover. I mean, that fits perfectly in a horrible way with the themes and with the open presentation and sexualization of young girls in this movie. So it should be no surprise that we get this diamond pattern that's representative of the butterfly and as well as other symbolic values, which is used in MK Ultra programming and in association with pedophilia. Right there in the middle of our screen. Okay, let's move forward just 2 seconds from here. We're still within the first 10 seconds. And you can see she's ironing her hair. There's different things in the background that I'm going to highlight further now. Like right here, you can see that on the wallpaper has this kind of a little bit faded images of sailboats or ships and an anchor. But the more prominently featured image is the ship wheel. The 8-spoked ship wheel within which looks like an 8-pointed star. And so this symbol comes up numerous times in this trailer alone, this 75-second trailer alone. I can't imagine how many times it comes in play in the movie. But let's just take a look at the significance of the 8-pointed star and the 8-spoked wheel. This is from learnreligions.com. I'll put a link in the description. What you should know about octograms, 8-pointed stars. And it's by Catherine Bear, January 21st, 2019. It says, in Babylonian symbolism, the goddess Ishtar is represented by an 8-pointed starburst, and she is associated with the planet Venus. Today, some people equate the Greek Aphrodite, whom the Romans equated with their Venus, with Ishtar. Both goddesses represent lust and sexuality, although Ishtar also represents fertility and war. And it talks about other associations related to the 8-pointed star, and it talks about, for example, in Buddhism, Buddhists use an 8-spoked wheel to represent the 8-fold path taught by the Buddha as a means to escape suffering through the breaking of attachments. These paths are right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So it has significance in Buddhism as the 8-spoked wheel. So the 8-pointed star and the 8-spoked wheel are used and discussed in this article, at least, in association with each other. And then just below Buddhism, talks about the wheel of the year. The Wiccan wheel of the year is commonly represented as a circle containing 8 spokes or an 8-pointed star. Each point is a major holiday known as a Sabbat. Wiccans emphasize the system of holidays as a whole. Each holiday is influenced by what has come before and prepares for the approaching next. So, you have them both right here. You have the 8-spoked wheel and the 8-pointed star. And their significance in these different religions and occultic systems fits perfectly, again, as I said, in a horrible way, with the obvious and expressed themes of this movie, which include the sexualization of young girls. Let's take a look. So we're still within the first 10 seconds here. Let's go a little bit further ahead. Now, I've talked about before how in these movies they use the colors red and blue, and then they always, when they use them intentionally in ways that are meant to convey certain hidden or not so obvious meanings, associated with purple, the color which red and blue combine to make, which in occultic systems represents, and New Age systems beliefs, represents chaos. Right? The bringing of chaos. So here in this scene, in addition to the diamonds you have here on her shirt, the diamonds like we discussed earlier, they'll come up again. Right? So this is really the second instance of the diamond pattern that represents butterflies, a symbol used in MK Ultra, and pedophilia, according to the FBI. Here you have the colors Red and blue combined. You have the purple on this person's jacket. And then it leads immediately to a scene of chaos, which is exactly what those two colors and then the third color, purple, signify when they're used in the way I'm talking about. You can watch the prior videos for more discussion on the significance of those colors, but it's pretty well known that certain groups like Freemasons and others, certain New Age groups, and even political groups will use these colors to signify or to accent something they want that is happening that those colors represent. And so in this case, you have the chaos that resulted from what they showed you previously. And so I just found that interesting, the way they set those two scenes up. And again, it could be that the way it's just blue, red, purple, and then immediately to chaos, right? Even the dialogue, what is that? It's like some total confusion. I just don't find that to be accidental. It seems like a scene setup. But it's possible, right? It's possible. I think it is more likely, though, given the aggregate of things we've considered and are going to consider, and the open, obvious themes involved with this movie, that the whole blue and red, purple chaos significance is present. All right, so now let's just move forward 3 seconds right here. And as I explained with the butterfly symbol in terms of being both an MK Ultra image and a pedo symbol, according to the FBI, here you have, I've seen a lot of gates. And I've seen a lot of different, ironwork, metalwork. I can't say that I recall ever seeing this swirl as a part of that. It's possible. But again, if we look at the FBI's list of pedo symbols, we have the swirl right there. So we have both the butterfly and the swirl, and this swirl is featured all across this scene, right? I mean, that's not a very pretty gate, is it? It's not even, it just doesn't make sense. I guess if the idea is just you're going to be looking out over an area hard to access, okay, fine, we get it. But again, it prominently features not so much the gate, but that symbol, which just happens to be one involving pedophilia. So we don't even see her face, right? The emphasis is all on the gate, either as an obstacle or, again, we have the pedo symbol. So, and now that's not all. Look over to the far left, right here where my cursor is. You have what I mentioned earlier when I showed you the Baphomet, right? The peace sign or the pan sign, the two fingers. So we saw that the little girl at the beginning had her arms almost exactly like the Baphomet has them here. You can see it from the back, and here you see the Baphomet from the front. Here you've got the two fingers on the Baphomet. Here you've got the two fingers right over here on the left. So again, these scenes are set up. Maybe occasionally there's something that gets in, right? But we're 15 seconds into a 75-second trailer, and we've seen quite a bit so far, haven't we? And this is nothing yet. But it's something, especially when you consider both the pedo swirl and the pan sign right here. All right, so now let's see. She's looking at something, right? She's watching the girls practicing. Let's take a look at that. It's 1 second ahead. All right, so she's looking over the gate, and there are the girls featured prominently throughout the trailer and in the poster, or the poster before it was edited, with the girls in a very sexualized position. They're down there dancing, right? You've got these pillars. Look over here on the left, right? You've kind of got, there's like a little heart balloon thing. There's like a little naked green marshmallow blob thing. But over here on the right, look at that. Look at where my cursor is. It's a hammer and sickle. Look at that. A sign of socialism, communism, right? I mean, the worst form of government. It may be ideally the best, right? If it were actually achievable and not subject to corrupt people who always abuse those who would ever try to be kind of more or less equal. Never would work under these conditions because of the tyranny of human beings who are put over others. So here they are featuring socialism right here with these girls in a movie that sexualizes them as well. Right? It's not crossed out. It's not put in a negative light. It's put over whatever is there, which looks weird. But it's here for a good second and a half or more, right? That communism socialistic symbol, right? There's no American flag. There's nothing. Not that it has to be an American flag, but at least American flag represents to most people the ability to work and become your own person. Communism is never going to allow you to do that. It represses people. That's been shown time and time again. It's being shown right now with every single communistic regime operating on the planet, except for maybe one or two very small ones, right? I mean, the majority, like China, Venezuela, these are terrible countries and governments. They abuse their own people and then they take advantage of them. That's what communism is, and that's what they're trying to promote right here, because then the people who abuse others will have a much better opportunity to abuse people like these young girls. All right, let's move forward just a few seconds. Second 19, we're still within the first 20 seconds of a 75-second trailer. Second 19, here's the third diamond pattern that we've seen. The third one, I believe, and it actually is the third or the fourth, because if you look up here in the mirror, it comes more into focus as I move forward. But before you go up to this mirror, you can see obviously these three. There's three here. 1, 2, and then her arms kind of covering the third one. But there are 3 tissue boxes, it looks like, covered in this diamond pattern that, as we've reviewed and as is commonly known, has symbolic meaning, in particular among the Native Americans, related to butterflies, which are both part of MK Ultra programming, and a pedo symbol. So we're getting this repeatedly shown to us within the first 20 seconds. In addition, as I've said, the open and obvious sexualization of the kids. But we're looking at the hidden images and symbols. And so you see here, again, the diamond pattern. And then if you just look forward, now her arm is moved down a little. You can see in the mirror that it also has, there's like a hat hanger that's commonly in a diamond pattern, right? It kind of extends out. That's a common wall item. Not so much these tissue covers though, right? That's a more custom. I've never seen tissue boxes covered like that. But they obviously, they're featured right in the middle and even accent her shirt and the toothbrush on the sink. So, I don't believe they were accidentally put there, or someone just had a few extra tissue boxes with these covers and said, here, use these, right? We've already seen this pattern right across the middle of the shot involving the woman and her, it looked like the woman and her daughter in their apartment with the curtains. And so we see him again here on the 3 tissue boxes in the mirror as it comes into focus. Now let's just move forward 1 second from here. And here you have a child dancing on a rug, right? Very much in focus is the rug, right? The pattern on the rug. That's what's most in focus, in fact. And the kid's feet come into focus a little bit in a moment, but what do you see right here? I see a pedo swirl, right? I mean, whether or not, I can't say I've ever seen rugs with that kind of swirl like that. Maybe they're there, but someone obviously saw that, if those are common on rugs of this type, and said, hey, we're going to put this rug here. And that rug has not only the same swirl we saw on the gate that the girl was looking over, but it is the same swirl-like symbol used to convey boy lover pedophilia. And it stays on that for a good couple seconds, right? It shows the 2 there. He puts his feet back across. He or she, I guess it's a she, right? The girl's dancing. So you have both feet, both pedo swirls. It's just a lot of focus on those swirls. We're still in the first 20 seconds of this 75-second trailer, but it's going to speed up. We've got a few more to go. Let's jump forward 5 seconds here. All right, so we already know that if you've seen the trailer, that is, or just watched this video to this point, that this film sexualizes minors, specifically these girls. If you look at the way they're posing, right? Some are obviously trying to get into some kind of sexual position. It's typically, and the way they have their fingers, right? They have their hips out in a more forced position. And they have their fingers, all three of these do. She looks like she has her hands down, but these three have their fingers, they're biting one finger. That's the traditional flirting sign, is it not, ladies? Men, so these young kids, 14 to 11, I think, in the movie, are being sexualized as adults. It's abuse. It's open abuse. All right, let's jump forward a little bit more to second 43. And you can see here, this actually, as I mentioned before, comes up several times, but I'm just going to highlight one more. I did highlight before the 8-spoked wheel and the 8-pointed star inside of it and how it's prominently featured and was before. We talked about, and I'll put a link in the description below, we talked about the association involving Buddhism and the Wheel of the Year in Wicca and in Babylonian. But also note here, the chaos star. Remember I pointed out with the blue and the red equating to purple in that one scene, followed immediately by chaos? And how we've seen, of course, the 8-pointed star and the 8-spoke wheel. Another usage that we didn't read earlier when we talked about the 8-spoked wheel and 8-pointed star is that it's a chaos star. A chaos star is 8 points radiating from a central point, while originating in fiction, specifically the writings of Michael Moorcock. It has now been adopted into a variety of additional contexts, including religious and magical ones. Most notably, it has been adopted by some as a symbol of chaos magic. So, if you think I'm a little off pointing out what I did before in terms of the blue and the red on the lockers, so with her having the diamond pattern, this was the other diamond pattern that we saw in addition to the curtains on her shirt, and so a total of 4 at least within that first 20 seconds, with the other 2 we saw in the bathroom on the tissue box and in the mirror. If you think I'm just kind of reading into stuff here with this chaos and color association, again, you have to look at the overall aggregate features and what they're showing and the significance of things like the 8-pointed star in things like chaos magic, that together with the blue and the red and the purple and the chaos scene that followed help accent that kind of magic. It's what they believe, right? Most people wouldn't see that. And so these are things they're putting in our movies to represent things they believe and want us to see, but that we don't fully understand unless you look at them like I have. Or maybe you have looked at them and you just didn't realize they were putting them in these movies in this way. Either way, it's a lot of hidden imagery and symbols, some of which is more open because that's what the theme of the movie is, right, in terms of the sexualization of children. But I would say even with that being the case, that the movie has these kind of obvious pedophilia type scenes or themes, that there's still these symbols don't quite stand out in relation to the sexualization of children, but they do. They have that association, which is why I'm pointing them out. Okay. And so if Netflix wants to run away and say, hey, we're not promoting the sexualization of children, we're not promoting pedophilia, well, then what are all these symbols doing here? What are all these pedo swirls doing here? What are the pan sign? What's the pan sign doing on that gate with the pedo swirl? Why is the girl in the opening 2 seconds of the trailer moving her arms so that they at one point exactly resemble the position of the Baphomet's arms? Right? Why are we seeing these 8-pointed stars and 8-spoked wheels? Why are we seeing these repeated diamond pyramid patterns? Why did we see the hammer and sickle of communism? Exactly what are they promoting? Well, we can tell if we just look at what they're showing. And so if we go forward a little bit further to second 46, you have here on the gate, I thought this was, this may be another one of those, like I mentioned before, there's some scenes where it's, again, I think they set these scenes up, and I don't think they leave much to chance when they can use it to their advantage to convey something to people that are more in their line of thought, but that most people wouldn't recognize. I'm more likely to see things that are obvious to me intentionally placed than not. But this might be one where it's just, where they shot. So here over on the gate, you have, again, the opposing pyramids, as above, so below, as well as on the side. And this symbol, and in the way it's shown here, was featured prominently, for example, in the Captain Marvel trailers that I reviewed. But I wanted to highlight it here as well because it does very clearly show the as above, so below opposing pyramid view. All right, let's jump now. We're still within the first minute or first 60 seconds. Actually, the first, 46? We're going to jump to minute 101 here, where we have two things to deal with. So, this is a scene that I believe is featured prominently on the French edition. It's a French movie, allegedly, supposedly a comedy or drama, but the way the kids are featured, it's a failed comedy at best, right? And at the expense of sexualizing minors. But look at the way they're dressed, right? They're running around, obviously not concerned, right? It's like a little victory parade. But they've got, bras on the outside, and they've got they've got panties on. And this one young girl has hers pulled, all the way up, and this one's kind of got them hidden. But come on. Mothers, would you want your daughters walking around like that? Is that normal? Does that seem normal? It's not normal. And it actually is abusive to these young girls who are trying to learn a proper way to carry themselves in society. So here again, within that same second, so we're still at minute 101, minute 1 second 01, where that scene involving the girls with their underwear on the outside. Within that same span of 1 second, you get the two diamonds right here. This is the 5th time that we've had the butterfly pedo MK Ultra symbol of the diamonds in this trailer. All right, so let's take a look now. We're getting close to the end. We'll wrap this up, but 75 seconds, I would say we've seen quite a bit. And here, I'm not sure what to make of it. You tell me. What do you see? Well, first of all, it's hard not to see the fact that it's telling them, he's telling someone, or she's telling someone, I should say, it looks like she's the little girl on the left anyway, or one of them, is telling the person we can't really fully see on the far right how old they are, 11. But look at the dark-skinned girl right here with the green shirt. Look at what it says on that shirt. This is not a bike. Then, it has the word jump on the bike. It almost seems to be saying, she's not a bike, so don't try to ride her, jump over her, right? It's either that or jump on the bike. But it's showing these dots as going over, right? Jump over the bike. She's not a bike. It's weird, right? To associate riding a little girl like a bike. Just associating this idea here in that way is so inappropriate. So I don't know what their defense to that would be. And I'd love to hear them explain what they mean by this shirt. All right, let's take a look at our last one. 3 seconds ahead of this one. Same girl, that is the girl wearing the shirt saying she's not a bike. What do you do with bikes again? So here she is. Again, she's darker skinned, what some would call black, and then she's wearing the white shirt, which matches exactly the checkerboard pattern featured here prominently that we know to be involved with Freemasonry. So, this trailer, and by extension, this movie, and the way that it shows these girls in association not only with the hypersexualization scenes, but with the hidden imagery and symbolism that also represents or is associated with lust, pedoism, child loverism, which is pedoism, and MK Ultra. This is not normal. This is dysfunctional and abuse. If you have a Netflix subscription, you're free to continue it, of course. But just know, this is what they're doing with the money they're receiving. And it would be one thing if it were just, a crazy network of people doing wild and weird stuff that we all have to watch out for. But there are some significant individuals involved with Netflix. And I'm not saying the Obamas directly had anything to do with Cuties. But they haven't said anything, to my knowledge, in condemning Cuties. And it's a film put out by the network they're working for. And this isn't just some, casual association between Netflix and the Obamas. This is a close and a big deal. Right? They're settling into their new roles as Netflix producers. This is as of August 7th, so about a year ago as of this month. And this article goes in to discuss some of the details involved with the Obamas and working with Netflix. Let's just take a look at some. It says here, sources familiar with the Obamas' deal say it stems from an already deep relationship, make that a little bigger, with Sarandos, whose wife, Nicole Avant, served as the ambassador to the Bahamas during the Obama administration. In fact, Sarandos sits atop the list of advisors the president leans on most heavily for Hollywood advice. And then it goes on to talk about his friendships with these people as well. And so, and it goes on to describe all their close association. But notice here, so people who are in the Obama administration got hired by Netflix, who then hired the Obamas. And Netflix and the Obamas are putting out garbage, trash, just like Hollywood and Disney, if not worse. So what are we going to do about that? Well, I'm going to turn my attention to Netflix, that's for sure, and include them in these garbage dump reviews so that at least you can see more of what I'm seeing, and so we all can have a better understanding of what's going on. Protect your children. Right? These movies have some value. I enjoy the occasional movie, as all of you know, but I'm also very critical of movies that are terrible or that present disgusting themes or hidden images and symbols that people don't fully understand or that are associated with disgusting themes and beliefs. Right? People are entitled to believe what they want, but when they put them in our movies and expect us to pay for them and absorb everything they want but don't tell us explicitly, no, that's wrong. We should reject everything they do in that way until they come correct. Stop sexualizing these children. Right? Like Ricky Gervais recently said to Hollywood, stop effing kids. We say it to Netflix, stop sexualizing children. Stop filling these movies and trailers with these images that represent pedophilia or beliefs associated with things like MK Ultra mind control or the abuse of children, or lust and sexuality in association with children. These are children. Do you understand, Netflix? Of course you understand. That's why you did it. Because that's what you're interested in. And from all appearances, it looks like a lot of people that you've brought on board are interested in it as well.